We look at flowers and we just see something beautiful, right? Something to put in a vase. But what if I told you they're actually masters of reproduction on a secret mission for survival? Well, today, we're going to uncover that mission. We're going to explore the incredible and kind of sneaky strategies that flowers use to create their legacy. So let's just start with this question, because it really gets to the heart of it. Are we not lucky that plants reproduce sexually? I mean, think about it. All the things we love, the thousands of different flower shapes, the amazing smells, the vibrant colors, none of that is actually for us. It's all part of their toolkit for sexual reproduction. And yeah, this is how we usually see them. They have this huge social and cultural value. They're symbols for love, for happiness, sometimes even for grief. But that view, well, it barely scratches the surface of what's really going on. So here's the big puzzle. Flowers are highly engineered reproductive machines, but they're stationary. They're literally rooted to the spot. And their reproductive cells, the gametes, can't move either. So how on earth do they solve this problem? How do they bring those cells together to create the next generation? That is their secret mission, and we are going to break it down. Okay, first things first. For any mission, you need the right equipment. And flowers have some seriously specialized anatomy that is perfectly designed for this job. Let's take a look at their reproductive toolkit. The male part is called the Androecium. You can basically think of it as the flower's pollen factory and launchpad. Its entire purpose in life is to create and then send out the male reproductive cells, which are all packed up inside these tiny little things called pollen grains. And then you've got its counterpart, the Gynoecium. This is the female reproductive part. It has a super important two-part job. First, it has to be the perfect landing zone for the pollen, and second, it's the nursery. It's where the future seed is going to develop after fertilization happens. So let's break that down a little more. On the male side, you've got the stamen. It's made of the anther, which is just packed full of pollen, and it's held up by a little stalk called the filament. Then on the female side, there's the pistil. It has the stigma up top, which is the sticky landing pad for pollen. That's connected by the style down to the ovary, and inside the ovary are the ovules, the future seeds. It's just a really elegant and efficient design when you see it all laid out. All right, so the flower has all the right hardware. But how does the pollen actually get from the male anther all the way over to the female stigma? This is where the plant's brilliant strategies really come into play. It's time for the great pollen voyage. And the solution has a name, pollination. This is it. This is the key mechanism that bridges that physical gap. It's that critical moment of transfer where the pollen finally begins its journey towards fertilization. Now, plants have evolved three main ways to get this done. First, there's autogamy. That's just self-pollination within one single flower. Then you have Geitonogamy, which is when pollen moves between different flowers, but on the same plant. So it kind of looks like cross-pollination, but genetically, it's really just self-cloning. And then there's the real prize, Xenogamy. This is true cross-pollination between completely different plants. This is the one that brings in fresh genes and creates all that important genetic variation. And to make this happen, plants have to recruit some outside help, what we call agents, like wind or animals. Now, wind-pollinated flowers, they don't need to be flashy at all. They just make tons and tons of light, non-sticky pollen and hope for the best. They have these big, feathery stigmas to help catch it. But animal-pollinated flowers, oh, they're the show-offs. They're big, they're colorful, they smell amazing, and they produce sticky pollen and sweet nectar as a reward to get those animal partners to do the work for them. And hey, that reward? It isn't just for insects and birds. Turns out pollen is so jam-packed with nutrients that it's actually sold as a food supplement for us. Some people even claim it can boost the performance of athletes and, get this, racehorses. Okay, so the pollen has landed. The mission is now entering its most critical phase. We're zooming in, moving from the big world of flowers and bees down to the microscopic level, to the absolute climax of this whole process. And this is not just a simple physical process. The pistil is incredibly smart. It can actually recognize the pollen that lands on it through this constant chemical conversation. It can tell if the pollen is from the right species and accept it, or if it's the wrong kind and just flat out reject it. So, once the pollen is accepted, something truly remarkable happens. It's an event that's completely unique to flowering plants, and it's called double fertilization. That's right, not just one fusion, but two separate, totally vital fusions that happen almost at the same time inside the embryo sac. So here's how this double whammy works.
Two male gametes travel down the pollen tube. The first one fuses with the egg cell, that's called Xenogamy, and that creates the zygote, the future embryo. Then, the second male gamete fuses with two other nuclei in the central cell in what's known as a triple fusion. This creates the endosperm. It's genius, really. One fertilization creates the baby, the other packs its lunch.
So, what's the result of that incredible double act? Well, it's the creation of a legacy, a little package designed to carry the plant's genes far into the future. After fertilization, the whole structure just transforms. The ovule, which now has the embryo and its food supply, matures and becomes a seed. And the ovary that surrounds it, that swells up and develops into a fruit. And the fruit's job is to protect and help disperse that precious seed. Let's just focus on that endosperm for a second. It's this dedicated food reserve tissue. You can literally think of it as a perfectly packed lunch for the embryo. It provides all the nutrition it needs to get started, both before the seed is even mature and later on when it starts to germinate. It's a huge part of the seed survival strategy. And this whole system is why seeds are such an evolutionary game changer. I mean, the advantages are massive. They offer protection for the embryo with that hard seed coat. They have their own built-in nourishment, and they allow for all sorts of new ways to disperse and colonize new territory. And because they come from sexual reproduction, they generate that crucial genetic variation that helps the species adapt and survive over time. So just how tough are these things? Check this out. The oldest known viable seed ever found was from a lupine plant, dug up from the frozen Arctic tundra. After an estimated 10,000 years of just lying dormant, scientists were able to germinate it, and it flowered. That is just an absolutely incredible testament to the power packed inside a seed. Which brings us to one final, just awe-inspiring thought. Picture a tiny little seed from a giant redwood tree. We've just gone through the whole complex, secret mission it takes just to create that seed. But the next mystery is just as profound. How does that tiny, self-contained package hold the complete blueprint and find the energy to produce such an enormous amount of life? It's the perfect question to leave us just marveling at the quiet, powerful work that plants are doing all around us.